What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Wolfcryer here, and let's talk some Diablo 4 as the development team has just released their first quarterly update. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind is a lot of this stuff that is shown off in these quarterly updates are always subject to change. This is an ever-evolving game with new aspects being introduced each time that we, as the community, give feedback. And this is something that we can look at and see how the game is evolving and their thought processes behind certain things that are being added to the game or taken out. And these quarterly updates should serve as a very cool reminder that this game is a top priority for this development team and Blizzard itself. Hopefully these quarterly updates remain quarterly, because that is something that I want to see going forward, is a constant communication between the dev team and the community, but so far they are not disappointing. In this update, they talk about UI changes as well as controller support for PC, and they introduce a new family of enemies in Diablo 4, the Cannibal family. So we'll get to that in just a moment. Let's talk about the UI changes that this game has undergone since we last saw the UI at BlizzCon 2019 during that demo. And so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing with this. They are giving us the ability to change up where that main UI is, whether it be off to the left-hand bottom corner like it was during that demo, or right smack in the middle where I like it to be when I'm playing action role-playing games on the PC. And you will be able to choose which version you'd like when you're playing on PC. For console versions, it will be that lower left-hand corner because you are sitting further away from the TV. And most of the time, that's how you are going to be playing the game. And it's going to allow you greater vision over the entire field of view that you're able to play with. And that is something that you can choose to do on PC if you so decide. I know I personally, I like seeing my health bar, my experience bar, my skill bar right there, just like it is currently in Diablo 3 and Path of Exile when I'm playing those games. And I want it there for Diablo 4, but having that ability to change it off to that lower left-hand corner so that you can see more of the game is a great option to have, and very beneficial for controller users even on PC when you can sit a little bit further back from your keyboard and really submerge yourself in the experience that is going to be Diablo 4. The other change to the UI is switching back to a 3D version of the item icons in your character sheet or inventory slots. And they initially were going with a painted aspect a la the demo from 2019, but they've decided to tone things down a little bit and take actual 3D versions of the pieces of gear and transpose that into the inventory and the item slots. And so far, this looks really good, nice and clean. They've also toned down some of the artwork behind these pieces of gear, so drawing your attention to the gear itself rather than the background. They've also toned down the colors quite a bit on both the character sheet UI and the inventory, as well as these item icons. So I like it. I like the fact that it's toned down a bit. Another thing I'd like to point out about the character sheet UI is the ability to have space for your inventory, the items that you pick up, as well as your quest items, your consumables, and those crafting materials. And this is something that I want to see done in more action role-playing games, so that those quest items aren't taking up huge chunks of your inventory and you're not having to decide on the fly while you're in the middle of combat or just finish one section of combat. You need to decide which piece of gear you want to ditch so that you can pick up another one and have a gander at it. That is something that it really annoys me in most action role-playing games currently, is if I run out of inventory space due to quest items, that can really put a damper on your gameplay and slow it down for the most part. Most people don't want gameplay slowed down because of picking up gear or checking out different pieces of gear while you're supposed to be progressing through the game itself whether that be the campaign or end game content. Nobody wants to be stopping to sort through their inventory and seeing what piece they need to get rid of so that they can pick up another piece in order to look at it. And I think a lot of times you end up with quest items in your inventory that just shouldn't be there, because they should be in their own section. And it looks like with this current character sheet, that is going to be the case with Diablo 4. And that's something I can totally get behind. And as I said previously, they're going to be supporting controller usage on PC. This is the first time a Diablo game has done this, and a lot of players out there, they play both console and PC games. So even PC players do occasionally play and prefer playing with those console controllers. And now you'll be able to, should you decide that's your preferred play style when it comes to Diablo 4. I personally will stick with keyboard and mouse because that is just how I game. I do not normally game on a console, but a lot of people out there do both. The UI integration and all of that should be pretty seamless between the two. Whether you switch from playing on your PlayStation or Xbox to your PC, everything should feel normal and natural and not an entirely separate beast between the two games. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about is that brand new family being brought into Diablo 4, that new family of enemies, the Cannibal family. Now, we've already met the Drowned family as well as the Fallen family, but this is a brand new look at another family of enemies that is being brought to the game. And overall, I really like the system of having families of enemies. I think it allows for more immersion in the world if certain areas are only filled with certain mobs and that sort of thing, and they all correlate well together with one another, and it just feels like they should all be there. I don't know if you play Diablo 3 out there. I know I do, but occasionally when you're in a greater rift, there's not a lot of cohesiveness to the mobs that are in each greater rift. It just seems that they are totally random, which they are, and you can end up with families of mobs that don't really seem to go together, but they're all chucked into a greater rift, and your job is to just kill them all and progress. And I think that having these families of enemies will give more immersion, as I said, into the gameplay itself, especially when it comes to the campaign of the game, but this could extend further on into endgame as well. And these guys right here look pretty badass, and I really think you should check out the blog on the Diablo 3 or Diablo 4 websites, because they also have some GIFs showing off active combat maneuvers and that sort of thing. And I think that this is overall a very good developer's quarterly update for Diablo 4. And I can't wait for the next one, but so far I'm really loving what I see right here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. I always greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know down in that comment section down below what you thought of this quarterly developers update from Diablo 4. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so very much, and you all have a fantastic day. Peace.